The objective of this lesson is to locate decimals to hundredths on a number line. In previous lessons, students placed fractions on number lines. Students found the two whole numbers the fraction was in between. Today, students will use base 10 blocks to model decimals on a number line, understanding that a decimal is a number with one specific place on a number line. Let's begin by using a meter stick to model decimals less than 1. Label the 0 and the 1. The meter stick represents one whole. It takes 10 rods, or 10 tenths, to create a line the same length as the meter stick. Make a mark at the end of the length of one rod. This mark represents 1/10 and can be written in decimal or fraction notation. Either way, the two different notations are still representing the same number. The distance from 0 to the mark represents 1/10 of the whole meter stick. The next tick mark will represent 2/10. Continue to draw tick marks at the ends of each rod until all 10 tenths have been marked. It will take 100 cubes. Make a mark at the end of one cube. This mark represents 1/100th and is 1/100th of the one whole meter. 2 cubes, or 2 marks, represents 2/100ths of the meter. 10 cubes would represent 10/100ths of a meter. This tick mark also represents 1/10. These two fractions are equivalent. Two decimals are equivalent when they are at the same point on a number line. Continue making ticks on the meter stick to represent the hundredths. Let's try placing a decimal on the meter stick number line. 73 hundredths. To find the decimal, let's narrow down its location by determining what 2/10 it is between. It is larger than 7/10 and smaller than 8/10. Next, let's create a magnified number line for the section between 7/10 and 8/10, or 70 hundredths and 80 hundredths. Now mark the 73 hundredths spot. Notice that on the magnified number line, the starting place is not 0. The arrows on either side of the number line indicate the number line goes on forever in both directions. The decimal is still 73 spaces to the right of 0. Even though the number line isn't long enough to include 0. Let's move on to locating decimals greater than 1. Let's use 3 meter stick number lines to practice. The whole meters are written as 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. The ticks in between will have the whole number and the decimal tick mark labeled. For example, the 1/10 mark after 2 whole meters will be written as 2.1 or 2 1/10. Let's practice locating another decimal on the number line, 104 hundredths. As a mixed number, this is written as 1 400ths, and in decimal notation it is written as 1.04. This number is more than one whole, so it will be past the one whole mark. The objective for this lesson was to locate decimals to hundredths on a number line. We met this objective by using a meter stick to create various number lines to the hundredths place, including numbers greater than 1. We used magnifying number lines to make locating the number easier.